This is Andrew for the Chosen Prime with a video review of Omnigonix Spinout, or their take on Masterpiece Sunstreaker. I will be up front and say there are some QC and design issues with this figure that make it so it isn't all that great. There are some benefits, and I'll go through them as I transform it and show off comparisons. And I'll show where you kind of need to watch out for what parts have issues and such when I do go through the transformation. As you can see here, he does come packaged in a Masterpiece style box. It's actually the same size as a standard Masterpiece styles box here. You can see next to Lambor, same kind of detailing kind of throughout, same exact size. And so if you keep your Masterpiece boxes on the shelf, that's where this kind of excels. Inside the box, Spinout comes packaged in a standard kind of plastic tray with a gun, a missile, and his alternate head, which I'll show off in a little bit. So here's a close-up of that gun. Does fit into his hand. It's a little large, but still nice. He comes with one missile to plug onto the end of his hand, which I'll show off. Comes with a bio card. And he does come with some full-color photo instructions here that actually kind of feel like the original G1 instructions. The only unfortunate thing is that while they're kind of detailed here, they don't really show you the full process, which I will attempt to show you when I go through and transform the figure. As stated earlier, there's some kind of QC issues with this figure. As such, the Chosen Prime is going to be offering this toy at a discount. The caveat to that is there are no returns will be accepted, but if you have part issues, we'll be sending replacement parts out as long as we have the supply. So here you can see he does look like what a Masterpiece Sunstreaker should look like. This yellow is kind of a nice glossy paint. It kind of it matches that original color. This is all painted silver versus being chromed. And so overall, I think his car mode looks fairly decent. He does have rolling wheels. Unfortunately, due to clearance issues on the bottom of the vehicle mode, he really doesn't roll. Also, people have had issues with these front wheels here, and I'll show it real quick. They actually are on kind of a set of pegs here. And so not only is the spoke in the middle, it's not just a pin, it's actually a screw, which can be tightened and loosened depending on if it's wobbly, but then these two pegs here can unpeg it here. And so it's just really just a matter of taking the longer peg and plugging it into the lower peg here. And so if you have that issue with yours, that's what you would just do. You just kind of get it lined up and then pegged in. So funny enough, for transformation, Spinout here actually has a lot of G1 toy styled transformation parts, the way the feet come out, and then the way there's actually this little flap here on the bottom that is similar to what the G1 toy has. So first we start by moving this panel here, and do note that this is kind of a flexible plastic. You can kind of see how much here I can bend it, and we actually will use this part later, but it is kind of this thin rubbery plastic. So we come to these wheels in the back here, and they're on pivot hinges. You want to kind of pull them back towards the back of the vehicle, like so. And then you want to go ahead and unpeg the back of the rear here and kind of lift this up. Next we come down to the underside here, and then just like the G1 toy, his arms, while not kind of crossed up there, they pull out and they'll slide out here, and then they will pivot. There's pivot hinges here that these will kind of rotate around. And there are his arms. Next we come to these little parts here, these parts here on the back. You want to unpeg these on each side. Then you want to come to the front, the canopy here, and lift up, and it'll bring up this part, these two parts here along with it. You want to kind of lift it up, and then we come and we kind of pull apart the back part of the vehicle here. There's a peg and a peg hole here you kind of want to loosen up. And here's where the QC and some of the design issues kind of come into play, that he kind of gets floppy. So while overall the transformation kind of looks simpler than what was on Sunsurge, it's kind of not the case when you transform into robot mode. So here you can kind of see he does kind of look like the G1 Sunstreaker, but here's his head. And so make note of where this is when you're transforming back into robot mode. You kind of need to push it. It's not a Here, I'll go ahead and I'll release it. It actually comes down and out the back on this little stem here, and you want to make sure that that goes under and underneath, and it kind of sits here when you transform it back into robot mode. So we come and we'll go ahead and do the legs next. Go ahead and unpeg them, And then if you look, the bottoms of the legs here, you want to go ahead and, there are actually several ways that these expand, but they're kind of pegged in first. You want to extend it that way initially. So do that on both sides, kind of pull it up and extend it initially. You want to go ahead and there's a peg holding the foot part here separate. You want to kind of bend this forward just temporarily. And then if we look, there's a channel here that is foot. This peg here slides back, and you want to kind of pull forward. And the very first time you transform it, it'll want to stick. So what I recommend is kind of that very first time taking a tool, kind of coming in here just enough to just kind of push to kind of let you then go ahead and slide this foot out to the end here. And then before I go any further, one part that's kind of hard to, you skip it a lot, is that you see this little black part right here. This actually extends further too, so you kind of need to grab it the whole thing and kind of just kind of wiggle it, and you want to see that you can kind of head and extend this part here further. And if you don't do that, which I'll show off on the other leg, then this side panel here, we come to the foot, or this panel here on the side of the vehicle, we rotate it, we just rotate it down, and there's his foot. But when we do it on the other side, so we'll go ahead and we'll again, this sliding hinge here, go ahead and slide it out. If you don't pull this other little part, this part further down, when you go to rotate this down, it doesn't fit. So that is one issue that I've, it's kind of hidden in the instructions. You kind of need to pay attention. You want to, again, separate from this sliding joint, you want to pull again to kind of pull the foot out even further, so that when you bend it up, you've got the clearance for the leg there. So we have these little parts here on his shins, and they're just going to be cover-up, so you want to unfold it and then push it down, and you can see that they cover up his upper legs. You kind of bend his knee, so straighten this out, bend his knee and close it. And there are his legs, very G1 in style. Now the next bit here is kind of tricky. So we come to the top here and we want to go ahead and rotate these wheels inward on pivots. So that they will fold back inside, and then what we'll end up eventually doing is kind of taking the rear end here and kind of pushing it in. But if we look here, if I move this out of the way, there's a little clip here on this outside edge on both of these wheels. What will end up happening is when you fold it in on itself, this little kind of channel piece here, it'll kind of hook around there once you get it kind of pushed into place. The tricky part is that this back panel here also needs to kind of fit between the wheels and the spoiler. So you kind of need to shove it up into this space here. And what we want to do is, you can see this screwed part right here. You want both of these to kind of fit and lock in on both sides here of this back panel. So it's kind of a matter of just kind of sandwiching it in there. And it is flexible enough to kind of do it, but all this stuff kind of gets in the way, kind of due to how loose that it all is. And so you kind of want to make sure that the wheels are square, and then kind of just get it all kind of situated into that spot. So you want the backpack there kind of fitting in here. You can kind of see that this little back of each one of these wheels fits into this panel, and then what you want to do is kind of take the panel and push it forward, so those two little clips that were inside that I showed off kind of grab in here onto these rails. And then you want to go ahead and close these back up, these little pieces here. You want to take the kind of roof here. This normally would be kind of flat like this from the front of the vehicle. You want to go ahead and fold it, and then this will kind of come up and it'll go into his stomach. So you kind of want to have it come up into his stomach here, and it'll go up into between the wheels like such. And then that'll make it so that his the chest here kind of fits this way. It'll kind of eventually lock into place here like that. We can come to this crotch piece here and kind of slide it up. Normally it's out of the way and kind of fold it down for vehicle mode. So then we come to this head part, which is actually also tricky. What you want to do is, there's two panels here that slide down from the intakes. And if you look, there are two tabs here, here and here, that actually match kind of shallow peg holes on the roof here. And so what you want to do is kind of slide down the head, so it's in between there, and then take those two silver tabs and kind of push them in and kind of press the canopy into it. And it'll hold This part will hold if you don't kind of move it around too much, but it is not completely secure, and you kind of want to get the head to sit flush like that. And essentially that is the upper torso kind of ready to go. You kind of want to just make sure that everything is kind of hooked up right. So we come to the hands now, and they're simple. Just open this panel here, and the hand will flip out on each side. And I've seen some where these handles here are loose, and again, it's a screw here that the hand rotates around versus a pin. But once you close the kind of the panel here, the hand will be just fine. Let me do the same thing for the other side. Just flip out the hand. And essentially there is Spinout in his robot mode. And again, due to QC issues and kind of the ways that things just don't fully peg in, he's kind of a bit tricky to kind of get hooked up the very first time. But once you kind of have him finished here, which we'll show it off, he looks like a pretty good Masterpiece Sunstreaker. So we'll show off some robot mode detail. Some robot mode detail here. I will say you're pretty much, whenever you're posing him, you will want to kind of keep your thumb and finger here kind of pinning this section of upper torso kind of together, because these two pegs here just will not hold due to the QC issues. They'll stay if you just keep him after you've posed him, but overall this just does not work. So you're going to pretty much have to hold this together. As you can see, this while they had the nice glossy yellow paint for the car mode parts, when they did detail pieces like here on the shoulder, and then they didn't paint, you know, stuff like the inside of the legs or the elbows here, it's kind of a different yellow. And so it's a shame that, you know, while this looks nice, this kind of stuff where this just looks a bit sloppy. He does have, due to it, how the way the head is on that weird kind of pivot part, you can rotate it on the ball as well as kind of move it forward and back on that little arm. He does have a waist swivel. His arms are on a kind of a swivel point there. It's on a ball joint that gets kind of a little bit of a motion that way. Double jointed elbow. Standard kind of Masterpiece hand where it's, the fingers go out. You can take his weapon and we'll go ahead and slide it into his hand. You can kind of see it's kind of larger than normal Masterpiece weapons, but it still looks quite nice. If you want to, you can go ahead and we'll go ahead and open up the other arm here and flip it back in to kind of expose this port. And then we take the missile part here, and actually it's a very snug kind of connection here. You want to just go ahead and kind of push it in there, and he does have his arm missile. As far as his legs here, his feet can move forward and back on that channel there, as well as they have a dedicated ankle tilt here for ankle articulation. Decent knee bends that hold. He can lift his legs up and move them backwards. Unfortunately, these joints right here are very loose. He can't hold his legs up. He will stand no problem and take kneeling poses, but maybe a little bit of future floor polish would kind of fix that there. He does have a rotating waist. And kind of overall, I mean, it is kind of, I mean, like the back here, the robot looks kind of clean. The kind of the intakes look pretty nice. The kind of the legs are a nice proportion. So if you just wanted to kind of a Sunstreaker for a shelf somewhere, I think Spinout would work to match. The other accessory they did come with was the alternate head. And here's the alternate head that comes in the package. You can see that the original one that comes installed is kind of this more cartoon accurate, kind of smoother ears. And really it's just, you only get the ears and the back of the head. You only get one silver face. So when you, since I have two here to show off, you were able to use the same silver face. But you only get one. You can only get the kind of the eyes and the ears parts. So you have to reuse the silver face, and it's just a matter of popping it off a ball joint there, and then rescrewing the new head on there. But you can see that these ears kind of match the kind of new, recent, kind of comic, kind of sharper ears. And so that's the two options you have available to you as far as the ears go. You can get some decent poses out of Spinout here with his multiple joints, and he will hold action poses like this and allow for basic articulation, as long as you kind of hold all the parts together. So if you do want kind of, you know, to get him in some nice emotive poses, that is possible with Omnigonix Spinout. Robo mode comparisons for Omnigonix Spinout. Here's the other Masterpiece Sunstreaker. This is from BadCube. This is Sunsurge, and of course here's Masterpiece Sideswipe. As you can see, both Masterpiece Sunstreakers do match kind of aesthetically with Masterpiece Sideswipe here. Kind of depends on what kind of variant of which look you want, whether you want something that's a bit more G1 toy accurate and a bit wider chest, or you want something that's more cartoon here on Sunsurge. As you can see, Sunsurge has got a kind of a warmer yellow and some more consistent yellow across the figure, versus on Spinout where it is the different paint here, but it's plastic here, and it's just a different, more of a lemony yellow. Spinout is taller by default than both Sideswipe and Sunsurge here. Sunsurge can get taller and has different leg configurations if you so choose. The QC is obviously much better on Sunsurge than it is on Spinout here. But if you're just going to have a figure that just kind of stands in a collection, and you prefer the look of Spinout here, you prefer that these wider legs and kind of the overall more kind of G1 toy-esque version of it, versus some people kind of have an issue with kind of how skinny Sunsurge is here. That's where Spinout might work well in your collection. To get some more detail between the two Sunstreakers, here even closer up you can see that Spinout here on the right is considerably taller than Sunsurge in his normal mode. You can again straighten out his legs if you do want him taller, and you can have them match more closely height-wise. You can see the differences between how Spinout has got, this is the car hood versus the faux hood that's only for the robot mode, hence the blue plastic. Sunsurge does come with both chromed and silver parts for things like the intakes and missiles and wheels and such, whereas Spinout only comes with the silvered. And it kind of, it depends on what kind of look you're going for between these two, which one kind of fits the look of Sunstreaker that you're kind of hoping to have for your collection. Vehicle mode comparisons. Again, we have Sunsurge, Spinout, and Masterpiece Sideswipe. They're all roughly the same size. They all follow that Lamborghini Countach kind of look. Sunsurge is slightly longer than Spinout when lined up, kind of side by side, but then Spinout matches the exact width that Sideswipe is. So it's kind of up to you of how you want to kind of, which length you prefer. As you can see, the rear end for Spinout here matches what a Countach rear end looks like, whereas Sunsurge kind of matches what the G1 cartoon had. Here you can see the difference in the intakes between the two different vehicles. The one on Sunsurge here on the right kind of looks more accurate to the G1 toy and the cartoon. All the chrome parts that are on Sunsurge here, the rims and the wings, can be switched out for silver. Painted silver, like what Spinout has, but unfortunately Spinout just has the silver bits. Sunsurge does have his rubber tires and can roll, but again, Spinout here can't really roll, and he's just got plastic tires. You can see that the front of the vehicle here on Spinout is the scoop is a little bit deeper than Sunsurge, kind of homaging the G1 toy just a little bit more. But overall, I think they all look like really good versions of kind of Masterpiece styled Lamborghini Countaches. And especially when you bring in Sideswipe here, both Spinout and Sunsurge look good in their vehicle mode side by side. Some final thoughts here on Omnigonix Spinout. I think for a first effort, I think their design had some nice ideas going with it. It's just a shame that the QC and final execution here on Spinout just kind of keep the figure from being great. He does look nice side by side with other Masterpiece Autobots here, especially with his twin brother Sideswipe. And so I think if you just wanted him added to your shelf, either in robot mode or car mode, I think Spinout would do a pretty good job. It just, you had to kind of play with him with kid gloves when you're kind of posing the final figure. Do remember that Spinout here is currently available from the Trusted Prime at a discount, and so I will talk to you later, so take care.